Hi everyone, my name is Kayla. Welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf, where we talk about books. Today we have a tag video, specifically the Unpopular Opinions Booktag. I'm a little nervous. I was tagged in this by Bookish Chaz, and the original tag creator was the Book Archer. I'll leave links down below where you can find their channels along with their takes on these tags if you're interested in taking a look. So this tag has about 9 questions, and I'm always a bit nervous doing these kind of questions or tags because there are many fandoms out there who are very passionate about the content that they love, which is fantastic, but I'm always a bit nervous to incur their wrath with the opinions that may not match theirs. So yeah, let's dive in and find out what some of my unpopular opinions are. Starting with question number 1, we have a popular book or series that you didn't like. For me, this is going to be The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Now, the reason why it didn't really hit with me is that I had a hard time relating with the characters. It also hit a few triggers for me, and that's a whole other aspect of the opinion. But if I'm breaking it down with the story and the characters, it just didn't really hit for me. I just didn't understand where a lot of the hype was coming from, and overall, it was just kind of in the middle for me if I'm looking at just those aspects. I do think that some of the ideas were interesting. It just wasn't written in a way that got me invested in the story the same way it did for other people. And again, that's just my own experience with it. So The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Question number 2 is a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate, but you love. This one, I'm not sure if it fully fits the category because recently it's been starting to get a bit more love, but at the time that I had read this, it was a very dividing book. Either people couldn't finish it became DNFs for them, or they just didn't like it, and there was a bit of a smaller group of us that really loved it. So for me, this is going to be The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang, and this is a story that I absolutely loved. It captured my interest from the world and then really got me invested in the characters. It started with a slow burn and then just took off. I also really appreciated that it explored the darker topics that can be tricky to articulate well and get across well in books, such as depression and some mental health struggles, along with relationship difficulties in marriage and with your family. It just was all presented in a way that worked really well when I read it, and I feel like they did a great job at mixing in the action and the conflicts with all of those individual struggles and interrelationship struggles. I loved it. Question number 3 is a love triangle where the main character ended up with the person you did not want them to end up with. Now, this one's a bit tricky because I don't read a whole lot of books that have love triangles in it, so I'm going to use a book that actually was rated pretty low for me. It's probably the book I've given the lowest rating to, and that's The Great Gatsby. I just did not enjoy this book, I will be honest. I know a lot of people love it, but I did not, and that's a whole other topic that is outside of the question that we're being asked here. But I do think that Daisy chose wrong. That's all I'm going to say. Question number 4 is a popular book genre that you hardly reach for. So this is going to be a bit tricky, and I feel like this is going to be Westerns or genres that incorporate Western themes. So for example, The Dark Tower by Stephen King. I'm just not compelled to pick up these books or series because Westerns are a bit of hit or miss for me. If it's just Westerns alone, I'm just not that interested. Partly the reason for this is that I grew up with Western movies on in the background constantly, and I just don't find them interesting anymore. They seem quite repetitive. Now, Obviously, I could be completely wrong with this being in a book format or mixed with fantasy, for example. It could have a completely different spin. If you have this experience, if you have a example of this, let me know in the comment down below, aside from Stephen King's series. But I just, yeah, it's a genre that I don't reach for, and I've just been exposed to so much growing up that it's not something I think to reach for. Question number 5 is a popular or beloved character that you do not like. So I am going to say this choice with a grain of salt because I've only read books 1 and 2 out of the quartet, but I'm having a hard time finishing the series because of this character, and that is Falkio from the Greycoats series. Now, Falkio for me is just, honestly, he's a bit irritating, quite repetitive, and overly obsessive. After the first book, I found his character questionable and was hoping that he'd get a bit more change or development, something in the second book, and that just didn't happen for me. And yeah, I'm thinking he's a popular enough character that he fits in this category, but I unfortunately just did not like this character. Question number 6 is a popular author that you can't seem to get into. For me, this is going to be Diana Gabaldon. I've tried many times to pick up her first book, and it just doesn't work for me, unfortunately. I don't know if it's her writing or the story that she's telling. There's just something that's not capturing my interest with her first book anyway, and I'm wondering maybe now if I should try an audiobook, if that's available, if it would help me get a bit more invested in the story. I'm not sure, but Diana Gabaldon is just one of those authors that I have struggled to get into. I've tried a few times and it's just not something that sticks for me. Question number 7 is a popular book trope that you're tired of seeing. So some examples include the lost princess, the corrupt ruler, love triangles. Now, I'm not sure if it's because I'm tired of these tropes or if I'm annoyed by them, but basically any kind of trope that falls under the romance category, I don't really enjoy. For example, enemies to lovers. I just feel like those kind of tropes make relationships feel hollow. Like they're more plot devices than a genuine relationship or a realistic relationship or a believable relationship. So these kind of tropes just don't work for me. Question number 8 is a popular series you have no interest in reading. Is it bad if I say I have a few? Okay, so the top one on this list for me is going to be A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. Now, I'm not interested in it. I've seen all of the hype for it, the love for it, and the discussions about it, and I will be honest, I've never watched the TV show. It's just not something that I've been compelled to pick up and read, and I don't know if there's a specific answer for it, and I'm sorry for that, but I don't know. I haven't picked it up, and I don't really care to read it at this point. Question number 9, our last question is, the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie, but what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? Hands down for me, this is actually going to be his Dark Materials. I loved the visuals, the representation of the book in a visual format. They did such a good job with the series, and everything came across so much better than I had imagined it in my mind while I was reading. I love the adaptation probably more than the book, and I did really enjoy the book. So this is just something that, yeah, I think they did a phenomenal job at making the adaptation better than the book and putting all of the concepts, the ideas, the storyline into a very visually compelling tale. So to tag a few people in this, I will tag Hannah Blackwell, Maria Might Read That, and Theo over at The Rekindled Reader. I hope you guys have fun doing this. If you are a booktuber and you would like to try this book tag, consider yourself tagged. I'd love to know if you have an unpopular opinion about a popular series. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you for watching and take care of yourselves.